Welcome to Coffee Meets Cloud, where three women in tech come together to share real stories about leadership, life, and everything in between. Join our hosts, Karami McCollum.
In other news, these headphones, I'm going to have to do something else. I am on fire.
Cassandra Parker.
It's pretty basic. We have to stay fully caffeinated in order to do all the things that we do.
And Rachel Rogers.
I don't know if we can survive this. I feel like this one goes in the vault.
Your go-to source for candid conversations and unfiltered insights. So, grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and join the chaos.
Welcome back to Coffee Meets Cloud. That's right, Karami has handed over the microphone this morning for today's special guest episode. Today, we are thrilled to have a true powerhouse in the Salesforce ecosystem, Amy Singh. With over a decade of experience and a former 3-time Salesforce MVP, Amy is a trusted leader known for her passion for innovation and empowering others. You may have seen her inspire audiences at Dreamforce with her real talk on overcoming imposter syndrome and navigating burnout. Currently, she's the head of growth and partnerships at dataimporter.io, where she's making waves in sales and community engagement. Amy is all about fostering the vibrant Salesforce Ohana and advocating for diversity in tech. Amy and I first connected through the original Salesforce Geek Squad, where she was uplifting and encouraging people in the Salesforce Ohana. We became close when we realized we both have that real talk energy. You know the type, where if you want sugarcoating, you better call somebody else because it's not us. That's why we're expecting a lot of bleeps in this episode, because we know how real talk really goes. I'm excited to keep the vibe going as we navigate that moment you redefine your relationship with work. Please join me in welcoming the amazing Amy Singh. Welcome, Amy.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good
I feel like the
morning.
gauntlet has been thrown down on these intros. Like, I'm going
Right?
to have to step my game up.
It is wonderful intro, and I think you meant to say Gift Squad in the intro, not Geek Squad.
Oh, you know,
I don't know
look,
what the Geek Squad
Words
is.
are hard.
Right?
Words are so hard, especially so early.
It's
okay.
a different kind of squad, the Geek Squad, than the
it
Gift
is the
Squad.
geek.
It
It is
is.
the Geek Gift Squad. How about that?
There
Oh,
you
but-
Double
go.
G
But to
now.
really get into
Right.
it, is it GIF or GIF?
Don't start with me.
Don't-
There
Oh
we
my
go.
It's
There
GIF.
we go. Light
GIF.
that fire.
I
You
said
can
it's
tell
Gift
that
forever.
it's
It's
Gift.
not a J, it's a G, okay?
Well, and also like based on what it stands for, what the abbreviation is for,
Mhm.
you know.
Correct.
Yes.
Anyway.
This was a popular. Well, first of all, hi, ladies. Thank you for having me on. Let me get that before I
Hi.
start yelling at you.
Hi.
Happy to be on. And I told Rachel when she does her intro, I'm going to clip it and play it ahead of myself arriving at any event from now on, just so people know who they're dealing with. No, I'm just
I can do a better one if you want. Like, we can do it really personalized, and it can include the beeps in advance.
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah, I
That
got
would be
you.
good.
I can see like the next Dreamforce event, instead of the Safe Harbor slide, there's the Amy intro.
Yes, I
Now
like
here's
that.
Amy. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. I know that's not a truck backing up. That's just your commentary.
Well,
Now, well, thank you so much for coming on board. And we'd like to start our guest episodes with a little bit of getting to know you. So the
Okay.
first question is, do you like caffeine? And if you do, what is your drink of choice?
I love caffeine. Coffee is my number one caffeinated beverage of choice. And it's often where you will find me if you go to a Salesforce event near a coffee pot or at a coffee place.
Do they have good coffee at the events? Because I literally never wait in the line to get some.
Sometimes
Okay.
it depends. You can't go wrong at Texas Dreamin'. I'm going to be for
Yeah.
real and throw that out to all of the events. If you're wondering how an event should be done and how it should be catered, go to Texas Dreamin'.
Oh, okay. I haven't been to that one.
Maybe we should fly out and go to Texas Dreamin'.
Yeah.
It's in July this year, I think. So it's a lovely venue. It's a lovely team that puts that together. And it's one of my favorite conferences for sure.
Description on the expense report: had to go for coffee.
There you go. Well, I'm going to give you another benefit. and it's totally not conference related. I didn't go this year, but the year before, they had breakfast tacos.
Mhm.
And I'm not
wow.
from I live in
Wow.
Ohio. We don't really have breakfast tacos. I'm going to tell you what, I could not stop thinking about that. Like right now, my mouth is watering
Dude.
because I'm like, I
I
want a
know.
breakfast taco. It was
Mm.
the most amazing. I took a picture, sent it to my husband. I'm like, you would kill this pan. Like you would eat all
Yeah.
30 of these that are in here because they're so delicious.
Amy, you
I
come to
can't
my
replicate
house.
it at home.
Come to my house. We'll make you some breakfast tacos. See, when we lived in
Yes.
Texas, Jamie learned the art. It is an art. You can't just
Yeah.
scramble some eggs and throw them in a tortilla and call it a breakfast taco. That's not how this works. You got to have the right salsa. You got to have the right ingredients, and you got to really perfect that much. And also, a lot of times people over cheese it. Like that's another thing. If they
Yeah.
put cheese in it, it just gets a gooey mess. And
Too
there's an
cheesy.
art. There's an art to
I
breakfast.
do
Haven't
love
been
a
able
good
to
breakfast
replicate
taco.
it. I haven't been able to replicate it. My husband hates when I try to. He's like, oh, soggy. This
honey,
is too
honey,
soggy.
just let it go. Just let it go.
You
Well,
don't
Jamie,
even know what they're supposed to be like, so shush.
Rachel's husband made brisket for my husband's birthday, and with the leftovers, we had them, and I had a little bit left, so I made myself a breakfast taco with the leftover brisket, and it was amazing. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
It's all about the spices and the ingredients. And
Mhm.
to that point, Amy, if you had to think about your favorite food, what would your favorite food be?
Sounds like breakfast
Like-
tacos.
Dish or cuisine?
Whatever the moment is striking towards you.
It's
Something you could
Indian.
eat like all the time, like if you had to eat it every single day, something you could eat every single day.
Every single day, loaded nachos.
Ooh, that's a good
Ooh,
one.
that
I
is a
love to
good
make
choice.
my own loaded nachos. I love that. I just said that the other day to my husband, but I lost my sense of smell like 20 years ago. So food is muted for me. And believe it or not, I never had Indian food until like I was 40. And when I took the first bite, I was like, what is this magical, wondrous world that's opening up? It was like I ate for the first time. And that was before I was married. That was before I knew anything about India and before I met my husband. So now, like, it's just food for us because this is the majority of what we eat is Indian food. My husband's from India. If you guys don't know me yet, but,
I think I was picking
I
that
was
up.
picking
like,
up on
oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. So this is just dinner now for me, and so it's amazing that that I can have this cuisine that people pay a lot of money to go out to a restaurant for, and I just make it at home. But I'm going to say loaded nachos. Probably, if I had one thing to pick for the rest of my life, it would be that.
I saw this thing about nachos, Amy. I don't know if you've tried this. They put all the toppings that they would put on their nachos, they spread it out on a sheet pan. Have you done this?
Yeah.
So the meat and the cheese and whatever that needs to heat up together is on this sheet pan. And then they just laid out all these crunchy chips and then they just poured what was in the sheet pan out of the oven on top. And I was like, that is genius. And then your chips don't get soggy so fast. Because I have that problem when I try to do nachos. I haven't perfected the art.
I have seen that. I don't like it because
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Tell
It
me.
feels like eating out of trough. You know what I mean? Like they lay it out on a big same thing with like seafood boils. I've seen people doing it on a big table.
Oh,
and
I
just
love a
like
seafood boil.
dumping it on the table and people going. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I need my little plate and my.
Oh, see, that's my favorite way to eat a seafood boil is like just dump it in the table. Everybody gathers around and we just go to town.
I mean, I wouldn't do it with mixed company. Like, I think I would be very prescriptive about the people who are invited. But yeah,
Close friends and family.
Yeah. Well, thank you for choosing something great as your favorite food because we've had some interesting picks on the show.
And by interesting, Jeremy means things Jeremy doesn't like, but it's okay.
Correct.
Food is very personal, I think.
It is. And it's very related to where you grew up,
regional,
what you got influenced by that whole, like, just like you just said, right? Like if you've never had Indian food, maybe that hasn't been an option for you. French cuisine, right? All of these different cuisines, if you haven't been exposed to them, you don't know what you're missing out. So get out there, try some new restaurants, hit up Indian food, and let Amy know what you think about it. Maybe she can give us some
Any Indian
recommendations.
food made in America is not true Indian food.
I know. So now we got to like locate the spots that
You
make
need to
it.
go to India. That's the only solution.
All right, buying plane tickets now.
Another
Let's start
expense report.
Another
There
expense
you
report.
go.
Maybe that's
Well-
where our podcast retreat is, in India, so we can eat real Indian food.
Well, there's Indian Dreamin', right?
Oh,
Or
really?
What is the one? There's a
There
couple over
was. You're thinking of India Dreamin', which was 2017. That was my inaugural trip to India, in fact. And that kind of fizzled out. And then another group of organizers picked it back up. So there is an India Dreamin', but it's different than that inaugural event. And there's a Delhi Dreamin'. It's like really, the Dreamin' has taken off in India, and Salesforce, of course, has done an amazing push in India for just having events there for the people there. As I found out in 2017, the thirst for the community activity was huge there. And they, you know, that first event, I felt like Michael Jackson, because they were treating me like I was some celebrity there, and I just couldn't believe it. Everybody wanted to
are a
selfie.
celebrity.
So next,
Wait, so is that when and where you met your husband? Was when you went to India Dreamin'?
no, but I met my husband. He's not in the tech world at all, but I met him as a byproduct of that, because had I not gone into Salesforce, had I not had that bite of Indian food, I wouldn't have gone down a rabbit hole. I like to I get like a couple of months where I have a special interest. So that was my special interest, like doing research and finding out everything I could. And I'm from a very small, all white town in Ohio, and just didn't even know anything about India. And as I started researching it and as I visited it, everything that I was liking, people were telling me, oh, that's Punjabi music. Oh, that's Punjabi food. You like everything Punjabi. And I was like, I don't know what a Punjabi is. And so then I quickly found out that that's a state, and those are people that live in the state of Punjab. And I started liking the music, started liking a particular singer that was popular in Punjabi music. And I made a comment on Facebook one day on that singer's page back when I had Facebook. And my now husband, who was in Dubai, happened to see my comment and thought that I was cute and messaged me.
Slid into the DMs there, did he?
Mm-hmm.
He did, and it wasn't like he was the only Indian one. But when I looked at his
stood out.
profile, I was like, "Oh, he's really good looking." And so I started talking to him, and I didn't really think anything would come of it. You know, obviously he was in Dubai, I'm in the U.S., but as work took it, I was going back to India, and he flew over there to meet me, and that was the end of me.
And the rest is history.
I think I would do my best to remind him every so often that he wasn't the only one in the DMs. He was the chosen one from the DMs.
So every once in a while, I'll threaten him. I say, what? Because he's like, why are you always on video with these people? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I said, let me just take you to an event one time, just one time. Or maybe look on YouTube and Google your wife's name,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And he was like, why are all these, he's always concerned, why are all these men hugging you? And why are you taking pictures with them? You know, because he thinks whatever, but yeah, they don't care. They don't care about, you know, whatever, you know, spotlight you might have. My kids could care less. Every time I say, oh, I'm going to this conference, I got picked to speak, I'm super excited. And my daughter's always like, you always get picked, Mom. I'm like, no, I don't. And why do you think that? You know what I mean? It's an honor. It's it's an honor to be chosen. It's not a given. So
Yeah.
they
But
could care
I mean,
less. They just want to know when dinner's ready.
when dinner's ready, when can I go get the mascara I ran out of? All the wonderful mom things. But I think that's where,
Mhm.
we all have similar things of, spouses that maybe do or don't understand what you do. My husband is on the don't understand what I do. He just tells people I make unicorns happen because he doesn't get it.
My
Um,
husband just says, she's in IT.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm fortunate that my wife now works in the Salesforce ecosystem. I don't know how many years now. I converted her to the dark side. So she does understand some degree of the technology that I work with, but she doesn't understand the role I'm in. And let me start off by saying she's an amazing spouse. So this is not a knock on her, but she was raised that there is a specific way to do all things. Okay, that's what she was taught by her parents. So there was a period in our marriage where it was like, this is how you properly load the dishwasher, right? Or this is how you, and you start to feel like, dang, I can't do anything right around here. And then one day I just looked at her and I was like, do you know that like when I go to work for 8 hours a day, I'm pretty well respected for my opinion and my abilities, and I'm leading teams, right? Like, I don't think you understand. I am a very capable person. I need you to get out of my face.
And I can load the dishwasher.
Right.
Okay.
Like, I don't think you understand. So we've come a long way. It's great now, but whew.
I'd
Yeah,
like to put your wife and my husband in the same room and see who comes out as the right way to do things, because
Yeah.
he's exactly the same way, despite him never having a dishwasher until he got to America. So
Well, he must have watched a YouTube video that explained it.
that's all.
He just has definite opinions about it.
He's the
it's not-
man.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
The man always knows. And as long as you understand and respect that, you
There's
will
my
be
husband.
There you go.
Watching over us, making sure I'm speaking correctly.
Well, talking about speaking correctly, we wanted to dive into today's topic. And I thought it was really kind of on point. We talk a lot of times about, when we talk about the right way to do things, there used to be a very traditional career ladder, right? That said, you have to start here, then you go here, then you go there. And if you want to make the money, this is what you will do and how you will do it. And now we've kind of broken that up and said, you know what? It's okay to say your life, and for what's going on in your life right now, it's more important for you to take a step back. And then if you choose to re-engage later and you choose to hustle and grind it, you can kind of go on and you can do that, and that'll be okay too. And so I thought it was really interesting, the topic of, and we're going to say it, and Caramy will just bleep it out, out of F's to give, redefining your relationship with work. And I think, it's not necessarily about one particular thing, but it's more about where you are with your life and what's important in your life, and how you take what's important in your life and you put work in the box it deserves, right? Which is that it's not your entire life. It's not all consuming. It's meant to be a portion of your life. It's meant to fund your actual life. So I'm super excited about this topic, Amy, and kind of your experience. So what's been your experience that's led you to wanting to talk about something that, historically might have been a little controversial for people?
Yeah, I think you've known me for a long time, and we had a very pivotal conversation when I was new, and all the MVP stuff was going on. You gave me some really good advice that was extremely helpful. And, for the first part of my career, I was everywhere all the time. If somebody asked me to do something, yep, yep, yep. I was answering tweets at 2 a.m. and waking up, hearing my phone buzz. Anybody in any part of the world could have my time. And then COVID hit, and I was on a really particularly difficult project. And then they had a change of leadership come in. And, after about hour 10 of looking at the screen, I said, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm at a point in my career that I don't think that I need to stay on projects like this. And I needed to find the strength to find a path out of that. So in my mind, I just started, and I've talked about this previously. I kind of started a notebook. I love to have my notebooks of what I love about my day and what I hate about my day. And the what I hate about my day filled up pretty quickly. And the what I love about my day, I just started like looking at it going, I don't know what this means in the Salesforce ecosystem. I was pretty lucky to kind of choose my own adventure. I didn't like start as an admin and then go down this path and then move into consulting. I just immediately started as a consultant. So I kind of already felt that flexibility. And then because of my social presence, I knew that I had access to opportunities. I just needed to figure out what opportunity would be gratifying for me. Um, and that's what I did. I just started taking the what I liked about my day and typing the terms that I saw in there in LinkedIn. And I kept seeing like customer success, sales, marketing jobs popping up with that in the description. And, that's what I did before Salesforce. So I thought, how do I stay in the ecosystem that I love so much, but also feed this part of me that I want to get paid for doing stuff that I like doing? And so that started my journey away from project work, away from hands-on config, and moving into supporting people using Salesforce and being a sort of trusted advisor to them, helping them understand what their AE was maybe selling them wasn't optimal for what they needed, and being that kind of person that they could get advice from. And then to now, my role is like completely engulfing all of my loves of the industry, and I'm able to stay in the Salesforce ecosystem and do what I love and do what I think I'm good at. So it was a lot of introspection for me. And, Rachel helped me initially. Salesforce MVP is a big deal in the Salesforce community. And it was an honor to be nominated for that and also awarded that. It was also very different from the inside, from what I saw on the outside. And I think that's a lot of people's experience. And it was December of 2019. We were at Dreamforce. My best friend, Melinda Smith, and I were rooming together. And we're both looking at each other like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Away from our families for what? We don't work for this company. Why are we putting ourselves in debt, paying our own way to these conferences and things like that? So it just started that kind of introspection, and it luckily for me coincided with the pandemic. So I didn't really have to go anywhere. So it worked out for me. So that was my kind of journey since 2020 of landing where I am now. So it was really nice to have that latitude, to be able to choose my own adventure, sort of thing.
Well, and I think, your experience with the MVP program and kind of the conversations we were having, I think that happens at a lot of companies too, right? Like you take a job and you think it's one thing, and then you get there and you realize the messiness behind it and all the sausage making. And you start going, wait a second, what did I sign up for? And I think, when it comes to careers, it's harder to say, maybe not, right? Like maybe the choice I made isn't what's in the best interest for me, for my family, for my goals and priorities as an individual. I think kudos to you for taking the time to journal. I love that idea of like thinking about your day every day and just writing what you like and what you don't like, and then using that as a way to search for an opportunity. I just think that is a great idea, and super proud of you for doing that. And you seem so happy, and I'm so happy for you, because that's all that everybody should want, right? Is everybody to be happy, and whatever that means for you, not anything specific. For people looking to do a similar journey, what advice would you give them on how to kind of go through that process, and maybe what was hard for you about that process?
What was hard for me was figuring out, okay, how do I get into customer success, that piece of it within the ecosystem, because those roles were very limited when I was looking. And so much of my career, when people ask me for advice, tell me your roadmap, tell me what to do, tell me what I need to do to get to wherever you are, wherever they think I am. Luck played a lot of role in my career. I'm going to be perfectly blunt. And I'm not saying that as somebody who's chronically dealing with imposter syndrome. I'm saying realistically, logically, looking back at my career, there were a lot of things that happened that I can't bottle and recreate for anybody else. And that was one of the things that happened as a byproduct of my social media presence. There's a lot of people following me on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. People reach out to me for jobs. And when I was doing all of this journaling and trying to figure out where is this position, lo and behold, a recruiter reached out to me with this very position, the exact job description that I was searching for. It was nothing that I could have planned for or applied to, but really just kind of being myself. I continued to show up and continue to this day. If you met me 10 years ago, if you talk to me today, it's pretty much the same person. And that consistency and that knowing who I am, I think has helped immensely. So that is the kind of piece of advice that I give people. Figure out your voice and use it and be true to it, and don't constantly chase the trends. I was never an advocate for, Salesforce Genie, and then threw all my eggs in that bucket. And then now where would we be? So
Right. Well, you brought
looking at you, Agent Force.
I know. You brought
That's
a really
gonna get
good
edited,
point.
I'm sure.
Nah,
No.
we just like to let it roll. We don't care. We let it go. You brought up a really good point about imposter syndrome. And I think a lot of us struggle with that, right? Because we are so used to the world telling us, you've always got to do more. You've always got to be more. How do you deal with imposter syndrome? Like, how do you overcome that yourself?
Well, I haven't. I still feel it. I don't look at it anymore as a bad thing or something that I have to overcome. When I first started talking about it, it was very well received, and I was very shocked to learn that people in this industry also felt that way, because you're looking at social media and they're like, oh, I got MVP, oh, I got a golden hoodie, oh, this, and you're not seeing them post, oh shit, I posted, or I failed the admin exam 10 times before I got the cert.
Right.
You're not seeing that. So everybody's looking at your highlights, and nobody's realizing that, oh, I'm struggling too. And with Salesforce, coming from a non-tech background, I've always been feeling like I'm just like doggy paddling to keep my head above the water, because it's changing constantly. And it was too much. It was to be perceived as an expert when you knew you weren't is difficult. And then I talked to people who I perceived as experts. Adam Olshansky is a perfect example. He works at freaking Google, right? It's a dream job for a lot of people. He and I have had so many conversations about that, and how other people's perceptions and thoughts that they put together in their mind about you are not accurate. So that's another pressure. But for me, I don't try to overcome it at all. What I've learned is it's a sign you're doing well, and it's a sign that you don't have that, I don't know what they call it, Dunning-Kruger effect.
I think it's a healthy dose of humility when folks still experience some amount of that imposter syndrome. And I was talking to some folks one time, and we were saying that we feel like the difference between some and others is the ones that are out there being successful are the ones that have the imposter syndrome or have those feelings, and they move through them. It's not that they don't experience some of that. or get the anxiety or worry about walking into certain rooms. They just do it anyway. They
Yeah.
figure out how to navigate through it.
Well, that's this week.
Well,
I
non-successful people don't have imposter syndrome.
Right.
So if you feel it, you know you're successful.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that
Yeah.
a lot.
It's like this week I presented at World Tour New York, and I told everybody, they're like, how do you feel? How do you feel? And I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, that's how I feel before I get on stage. And they were like, what? I was like, but I feel that's how you keep yourself humble, right? That's how you know you're going to do a good job because you care. You're showing up, right? You're doing something that you quite literally might make you sick, but you do it and then you feel great afterwards because it's like, you know what? I did it. I gave it my best. I said what I was going to say. I, did like this really cool thing that a lot of people can't do because they get in their head about the feelings, right? And it's like, nobody is feeling fantastic up there. Nobody is up there like, I totally got this. I 100%, believe in myself. If they are, they come across cocky, they come across arrogant, and you don't believe it bleepity bleep thing they were going to say, right? Like, I self-bleeped. You're welcome.
Thank
for
you
editing later.
for
You're welcome.
keeping that easy.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I think people have to have some amount of audacity. Like,
Right.
Audacity kind of has a negative connotation, but I don't think so. Like, you're just going to have the audacity to be your own PR and your own, like, yeah, maybe I'm not like 100% confident in what I'm about to say, but I'm like 90%, and I'm just going to put it out there and see how it's received and get the
And
conversation going.
do you feel strongly about the subject of what you're talking about? If you feel
Right.
strongly about it and you have some level of knowledge about it, and then you will be able to speak to it. And whether or not you doubt yourself that's a whole different thing. But if you just know in yourself that, hey, I'm confident, I know what I'm talking about. Am I always right? No. Could I get up here and say something that's completely wrong? Absolutely. But I'm just going to own it and move on. If someone calls me out on it, I'll say, well, you can do it next time.
Well, unless you're like me and it's like, you know the thing because you've literally done it or you've literally experienced it, but you gaslight yourself. The number of times I gaslight myself into thinking, but do you
Maybe
actually
I don't
know? Yeah. So you have to be careful.
Now, I don't think I have audacity because I think that I'm just wanting to share with the community. I think that's where my speaking comes from. And since when I first started, when I first submitted to speak at a conference, I didn't think anybody was going to come. I still think that. When I get accepted, I still think, nobody's going to come to my session ever. I to this day feel that way. I often don't remember giving the presentation. I feel like I black out or some other Amy takes over. Yep. But I've since gotten a prescription for propranolol. I'm not saying that right. But it's what people take that have performance anxiety, because I would get tense and like just, before Dreamforce, I was like, I have no idea about my session at Dreamforce. Somebody sent me the recording. I was like, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember any of it because I was in full on panic. But it's coming from a place of, I feel this way. I want to talk about it. Do you feel this way? Let's talk about it and let's connect on that level. And I feel like that's my drive to speak at conferences is really, I'm just trying to take down the shield a little bit for people and make it more human. We're all in this together. We're all struggling, even if you don't believe it based on whatever you think from my highlight or Rachel's highlight or Cassandra's highlight, whatever we're making stories in our own brain about that person. It's not accurate. And so that's what I hope to accomplish generally when I go to conferences.
Well, that's the veil of social media, right? Yeah. Like everyone sees the best version of yourself. You're not going to go out there and post the ugly. You're not going to go post how you're struggling. You're just going to go post. I mean, okay, Amy does, but most people don't because they don't want to be perceived as I'm not competent or whatever, right? But that's the key. Everyone sees the bright and shiny and all of these amazing things and never the internal struggle. So, yeah.
Which makes you the perfect guest for the show because it's the whole that, I mean, aside from just running our mouths and keeping in touch, it was the whole point of the show
Right.
was to just be real about all the things.
Yeah,
And I-
it's difficult, and Rachel and I have seen this and talked about it, is just people trying to keep up the perception. It's exhausting. I don't know how they do it. I don't know. I just want to get like a real tidbit from them, and I never have been able to. So you know where you're at with that person and you move on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's a very important part about relationships is you're not going to change anybody. Understand where you are with that person, where the reality of that is, and then make a decision, right? Because if you choose to stay with somebody who's not authentic, you choose to stay in a situation where you know that it's, I call it like the marketing slick that you're getting. You're not getting
Yeah.
anything of substance. You're not getting anything that's actually going to help you grow. Then what are you getting from that relationship? Like, why are you staying? Right? It's like, I guess there's a point for that. But I think that authenticity that you bring to the table, Amy, is what I've always appreciated of, it's the go on, show up, and actually be authentic. We claim a lot about being authentic and just being our authentic selves. But then we go, but please put a mask on and don't tell me what you really think, because heaven forbid you say that, then we're going to have some other sort of issue. But I think in the community and how the Salesforce Ohana started, it started with authenticity of people who just genuinely wanted to learn, genuinely wanted to help, and had nothing that they were getting for any of it. It was just the notion of we're all in this together and how do we make it better? And I think that's where we've
Some people.
lost some of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All great things get hijacked. I feel like all great things start as one thing and most of the time end up morphing into something else. So,
Well, it got commercialized, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened. It started as when we started the Houston user group, there was no user group concept at Salesforce, right? When they started dreaming events, there were no dreaming events. That wasn't anything anybody did, right? I mean, some people actually in their lives got divorced over hosting dreaming events, right? Like it created this weird movement where people felt so passionate about it that Salesforce had nothing to do with it. It was the community doing it. And that's why we had the band Apex and the Limits. It was the community doing it. And it was a way to bring the community together to do something fun in a different light. And I think then it became commercialized. And a lot of the things then lost that spirit because it was then about, how much money can the thing get? How big can it get? What is Salesforce going to provide and sponsor? And how is all of those mechanics going to work versus a group of people coming together because they just wanted to learn and they just figured out how to make learning happen. I think Amy, you and I have been on a very unique journey over our tenure here, because not a lot of people have that kind of tenure. Cassandra does. She's one of the lucky ones too. But as we look at like how we morph, I guess one question I have is like, how do we think we get back? Like, how do we think? Is there a way to a little bit further back to bring some of that more authentic conversation back to the table?
Think so. And I think that it starts, well, at least this is how I'm operating, not that I'm an expert, but with people new in the ecosystem. I tell them honestly, I'm having the conversation that you and I had, 2 years into my tenure. Okay. If I would have had somebody say that at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have done as much. Do you know what I mean? Or been so available. And that's what I try to share with people that are new to the ecosystem or that are trying to break in. I give it to them honestly. And I don't say that to denigrate their choice or move them away from it, but I say it to have a realistic perspective. Again, going back to social media, just because somebody's telling you, yes, you can leave whatever, if you're working at Starbucks, you can come work in this industry and make 6 figures instantly. These are a lot of the conversations I've had over the last couple of years. And I'm like, that's not the reality anymore. Yes, it was several years ago. It's not now. And is that person selling you a course? maybe you want to consider that reasoning for them telling you this. So you can learn everything you need to know for free. And having those kind of honest conversations and being real about it is a good place to be in. I think that's our role as we age in the ecosystem. You know what I mean? But kind of being that figure that they can say, okay, let me look at this with my with this kind of perspective and understand that, okay, maybe I need to go into this with not such rose-colored glasses and think that this is instantly going to change my financial situation and things of that nature. So that's what I think is going to need to happen to get the community back to being a community separate from the corporate entity.
Well, and how do we stay in touch with what the realities are in this market now, right? Because it's different. It was easier to get into the ecosystem. It wasn't as saturated. It had to be easier at one time for your abilities and your skills to be noticed or to find those opportunities. Now there's so much, they're saying not enough jobs. Is that where this whole social media presence and these personas and everything are coming from? Like people just being really eager to find a home here. And so how do you know, it's a lot different than even when I got in. So I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, and two, the other thing is look at where the jobs are going to be a couple years from now. So I know agent force is a strange word, and we can even talk about the choice of them calling one of the products Vibe. I have a whole theory on that, but the job market is going to change. If you are a Salesforce admin today, I guarantee you, if you do not learn agentic, you will be replaced. Like where the job market is going, future state, and where you can now just type in natural language and have the pages build and that whole experience, like you're going to have to upskill in a completely different way. And I think that is a very real conversation for anybody looking to join. And, I know Amy's willing to have them. I'm willing to have them, as she mentioned. So feel free to reach out. But you've got to look at not just where it is today, but with the introduction and the commercialization of agentic and that whole story of things, the job market will change. It will become harder. You won't necessarily see the high school teacher become a Salesforce admin anymore because that career shift is going to be very different because that Salesforce admin job is going to change. So that community that really started in the notion of like from going to barista to six-figure job changes further when you think about the fact that those six-figure jobs, a lot of them were admin jobs. They weren't necessarily developer jobs. And so how that introductory to that market is going to be different. I mean, Amy, have you encountered people having that conversation yet, or you still think that conversation's maybe a little further off for some?
Well, I have had that conversation, and because my path was non-traditional, I always say to people, this ecosystem is humongous. Just because you're an admin today, maybe you hate agent force. Maybe you don't want to build agents in your day-to-day life. That I go back to my exercise of what I like to do. There are so many levels of companies that as you go down from Salesforce to a partner to an ISV, there are so many different jobs within all of those companies. Companies that use Salesforce, they need your skill set. What else can you do if you don't want to go down that agentic route? There are a plethora of other paths that you can take. Some you might not even know about. I didn't know about the current job that I have. You know what I mean? So it's to just be real clear on what it is you like, what it is you're looking for. And I can't tell you how valuable my little LinkedIn search was to open up my eyes to other job titles that I hadn't even considered. Just because you have a Salesforce admin on your resume doesn't mean you have to say a Salesforce admin for your whole career. Doesn't mean you have to, constantly come up with, expertise on whatever the next product of the month is, that sort of thing. You have options. And that's what I try to instill in people that I talk to is like, get real clear on what you like to do and find that. because
Yeah.
that's going to make you a more beneficial candidate, I think, in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, Amy, it has been an absolute pleasure. And I am so excited that we got to have you on the podcast. And you're welcome back anytime. But unfortunately, we are out of time. So with that, Jeremy, take us home.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Coffee Meets Cloud. A huge thank you to Amy for joining us and sharing her insights, experiences, and perspective. We're so grateful for your time and the value you brought to the conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening. It really helps more people find the show and supports the work that we're doing here. You can connect with us on socials at Coffee Meets Cloud and find episodes, resources, and more at coffeemeetscloud.com. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that coffee strong, and I will see you ladies later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.